Greetings, everybody. It's Jim. HMGS, the Historical Miniatures Gaming Society, has 3 conventions every year. They have Fallen in November. In February, they have Cold Wars. And in July, which just ended last week, they have the convention I'm going to be talking to you today. It is their flagship event. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about my report for Historicon 2025. And just to let you know, I will be going to Gen Con next week with the Columbia Games crew, of course, promoting Harn World and the Block War games. And we're going to have a special coupon in the coupon book this time. We usually give away the free fantasy map. That's been done, but that's a physical version there. But you can download, you can hit the QR code and get the digital version of that. And this year, we're giving away the Richard III Steam video game for free, which is a $33 value. Now, if you're not going to Gen Con, could you take advantage of these QR codes that are on your screen right now? Probably. Maybe you should. Now, you might ask yourself, why does a group, HMGS, do this 3 times a year? Well, the main reason is the only time they can actually get together and play these huge games. Not just because of size, because most gaming stores can't even handle this space, but also to find players from around other parts, and just the length that some of these games can get to. Now most of them can handle like a 4-hour block, but some of them can go on for a little bit longer. And some of the setups are basic. Some of them, like this one, are very elaborate to the point where you look at it and you're like, I don't know the rules, but I want to play. And sometimes that's good. Some games are like very inviting. They say, hey, come on in. The rules aren't that hard. We'll figure it out as we go. And some of them are a little bit more like, no, we came here specifically to play this game. We got to rock it, But basically, it's just amazing. You go through the areas. Even if you're not a miniature war gamer, you can appreciate all the detail and work that a lot of these guys put into these games. One of the big constants that started out with Historicon is everybody walking up, looking at the Alliance setup that I had, and looking at me and saying, I love this game. So many people were waiting for it because it was the first Columbia game Block War game that's come out that was absolutely new for like a couple of years, quite honestly. And the thing is, people are just loving it. It got delayed for a year and a half for a number of reasons. Tom was having a little problem with his eyes trying to get the map done. That was a really big challenge. He had this big magnifying glass on top of the screen, trying to get this done. It was crazy. But also, he really wanted to make sure that the game scaled anywhere from solo to 7 players, because it was originally just going to be 3 to 7. And he was still trying to make that work, but he wanted to go from solo to 7. It got delayed for a number of reasons for that one, but they worked through it, and boy howdy, don't take my word for it, look at the reviews. People love Alliance, and they were definitely playing at Historicon on the big neoprene map that you see here. And by the way, the neoprene maps, if you want any of our neoprene maps, now's the time to order. They're all $99 from the Alliance to Liberty. It doesn't matter. You can order any of them, but we're only ordering what we need. We're not, and maybe a few more, but the thing is, it's going to be $149 after this order is made. And knowing what's happening overseas right now, who knows what's going to happen. So basically, now would be the time. And for that matter, you might want to get Alliance if you haven't done so. We have under 200 left, okay? And people are ordering them constantly. So again, we're going to have to reprint, and who knows what's going to happen with that. Now would be the time, but everybody was loving Alliance. Now, there are 2 important side quests that happened at this convention. One of them was the fact that they just allowed other wargamers in that weren't necessarily historical. You got Battletech here, they got Car Wars, there was Frostgrave, I believe, and a few others, just to allow some of the people that just get into those games, and definitely to draw the younger players in, and that's very important. There were a lot of good amount of younger players there, and this is the reason why, is because sooner or later they're going to transition. They're going to see they're into it because of the miniatures. That's why you get into miniature wargaming. Yeah, you want to play the game, but you love the setup. You love all this stuff, and when you see some of those beautiful setups in Historicon, in the historical side, you're going to just want to play, and that's going to be the transition. So they got to invite the kids in to just play these games, and maybe that's just your bag and you just want to play anyway. They're not against that, and that was one of the very important side quests that I seen at Historicon. Let's go over to the second side quest now. Of course, another side quest that was near and dear to my heart is this year they decided to do an SPI room with all the old SPI games, Invasion America. They did all of the Napoleonic battles, those little quads, they played them all at the same time. These guys went mad. This was their time to shine, and I'm glad to see that these games were represented. Now, this is really interesting. They were even playing the Universe role-playing game by SPI, which is pretty interesting. I can only imagine what that game was like. I understand it was very, very detailed, so it was really cool to see. I really like to, I've seen games there that I would not see normally. Dawn of the Dead, how are you going to see that unless you pay like a few $100s? So there's a lot of them that were there that you could actually get a grip on. I wish I would have actually stayed more in that room. Now, another hiccup that didn't start us out very good was I didn't have stock for a day and a half because FedEx kind of screwed up. And the thing is, they tried to say, oh, we don't have a label or something like that. They gave us all kinds of issues and said, oh, I got one box. It was the box with at least my Square in it, which is, the digital card reader, so I can at least take people's orders if they didn't have it. I was offering to send it to their house for free. And the thing is, FedEx was constantly giving us the kind of the runaround, not knowing what was going on. And then they said they put the stuff on restricted. Right? And then the thing is, we find out at the end of it all that they knew where the package was going to go. So it wasn't that label that was the problem. It wasn't the prepaid label that was a problem because that label was on it. It was some kind of other superfluous label that they had. But they didn't even contact us, and they had the packages in close to Lancaster since Tuesday. And so we had all this time to settle up and fix this, and I ended up having to leave the convention, go there, grab the stuff, and come back. It was a nightmare. FedEx for the loss right there, no doubt about it. Now, are there a few quibbles I have about the convention? Yeah, a little bit. Maybe they can or can't do something about some of the things. See, the thing is, Historicon's location wasn't at the Wyndham where they usually have it, or they call it the Host. It was previously the Host. It was this wide area. You could easily park, all that, and it's just beautiful. Most people actually like that. They use that for Fallen, and I do believe they use that for Cold Wars as well. But they choose the Lancaster Convention Center that's in the middle of town for Historicon. I guess they think it's a little bit bigger, maybe, and it's their flagship event. However, I just find it when you go in there, the city streets are like that, and it's in residential areas as well where the city streets are just like that. It's old time, one ways. If you live on the East Coast, you know what these are like. And they're hell to drive through if you're not, even with a GPS helping you guide the way, because of, they get a little aggressive there and they're used to it. I lived in British Columbia. I lived in Blaine, Washington with the guys at Columbia Games, and right across the way is British Columbia in Canada. And if you go into the some parts of British Columbia and stuff like that, it makes those places look like they're wide open, okay? And the reason I have a problem with that is because, as you might have heard before, I had a beautiful Ford Mustang. Notice that I said had, and I drove it from Washington over to Erie, Pennsylvania, where I currently live. Well, that thing just a few months ago got totaled. I got nailed. Not my fault whatsoever. The guy just slammed into me, turned me around, and that's my beautiful Mustang. And so what happens now, I just, before I went to Historicon, picked up, I was looking at cars all the time, and I went from a Mustang to a Kia Stinger. I know they don't make them anymore, but this was the twin 6 version, twin V6 version. It's beautiful. It's got all the tech, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't look like a Mustang, but it looks sharp. And now I'm going into, I feel like I'm in Knight Rider mode, right? And I picked this up just before Historicon, and I'm driving through all this stuff, and I'm waiting for somebody to just swipe me, tag me, or something. It was just terrible. I did not like going into the middle of Lancaster. And to add to that, you got to pay for parking in there as well, and you got to bring all your stuff in. Where again, the Wyndham and the old Host, as they call it, it was just spread out so easy to get from A to B, and all the restaurants were right around it. Everything out there, also at Historicon, like all the restaurants, were just crazy overpriced. So you can't even walk to get anywhere to get something to eat. really, unless you maybe you're a local or something and know the places. But no, it was just too much. It just, you go to these places to relax, right? And you don't want to have stress when you're on a vacation or something that's supposed to be fun. So I really hope that they just keep going back to the Wyndham and kind of even, I don't know how much bigger Historicon actually is, as far as, it looked about the same size to me. So I would really hope that they may just go to the Wyndham in the future, because I definitely don't want to do that again. Now, one thing I definitely like is Wally's Market, with one caveat I'll get into in a little bit here. But of course, just like any flea market, that's what it is, the wargaming flea market. And just like any flea market at a game convention, it's just where you can get the great deals. And you got all these people. Some people are asking for, like almost eBay prices. They're not really they're trying to make their money off of it. And then you got some guys that are just trying to get rid of stuff so they can get some money to buy something else that they want. And they don't care. They're just trying to dump it. And that's beautiful. And I'm frugal, and I picked up a whole bunch of things. Every time I'd walk through there, it's like taking a break or something like that, and I'd pick up something else, I usually do that on Sundays because it's pretty slow, in the dealer's room. But the thing is, I met this one, the good story is, I met this one young man there, and he was only 25 years old and way too handsome to be thinking that he would be playing the games that we play. And the thing is, I thought he was just selling it for somebody maybe or something like that, because he had some Silent Death stuff there. Oh, Silent Death. And he goes, oh yeah, I really liked it, because he was in the space combat games. He had a few of them. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool and stuff like that. But then he starts talking to me about the grubs and everything like that. And he's read all this stuff. And I'm like, man, this guy just knows his stuff. And he's only 25. I'm really glad he picked up games like Silent Death, of all things. He picked up something else, though, that he was kind of moving. And he was only getting rid of 1 or 2 items for Silent Death. Don't get me wrong. I think he's still keeping the other stuff. But he got moving on some of these other items here, and I seen him there, and I'm like, oh no, because I know what I did last year. Last year when I was at Fall In, I picked up a little BattleTech first edition box, like when I first got it, and I got into it again, and the next thing you know, wham! I got all the modern box sets for it, even up to the new BattleTech Mercenaries. I got rid of all the miniatures and sold those off, so I just use the counters, right? And that's good enough for me, and I have all of it. So what am I talking about now? And Leviathan, this was in mint condition with the box and everything like that. So he was getting into this. I wish he had Centurion, because now I got to hunt that down. I already got Prefect coming in. I decided, yep, that's going to be in the future videos and stuff like that, because that was really cool. And I think if you haven't seen those before, because it's weird, because, this is FASA, and they had something like BattleTech already going, and they make it in a tank game. It's really interesting, and I'll get into that anyway. Now, the caveats I have about Wally's Basement is only one. Now, I don't mind on Sunday that the flea market is going at the same time as the vendor's room, because it's a dead day. It's a we're going home day. You got your feet up. Everybody's seen your wares. You're either going to buy or they're not. Very few people actually that say I'll come back later actually do. Some of them do. I make a few sales and such like that. But it's definitely a slower day. But any other day, especially the first few days, see, the thing is, Wally's Basement is unlike other flea markets where they have it situated around on the schedule. They go boom, 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 boom. There's like 4 of them that take place within 2 days. One in the afternoon and one of them at night. Now, the one at night I don't have a problem with. It's the one that happens during the vendor hours I got a problem with. I mean, I'm paying the money. I understand they're trying to make it so everybody has a chance to get in there because you're in a game. But as a vendor, I mean, I'm paying some money to get there. I'm taking the hotel room and everything like that. We've got to make money, and you're taking that away from us when it's on at the same time. It's just not a good business practice. I understand you're doing that for the members. I get that. But I really think it's kind of like, you're kind of sticking it to the vendors that are trying to make a buck. A lot of them are there for a living. Some of them are there for part-time, but some people are trying to make you're just making that tougher for them. Next week, I'm going to be launching a 2-for-1 Kickstarter, 12 Parsecs and Songs of the Smokewater. They're $3 a piece or $5 for both. 12 Parsecs is a nice little solo space exploration game, and Songs of the Smokewater are tavern encounter cards, which I really worked hard on. I think they're really good. If you you like my Labyrinth Encounter cards from Steve Jackson Games, you're going to want Songs of the Smokewater. And so basically that's going to start next week. Check the link down below to get notified upon its launch. Now, I'm going to fall in November. I've already got everything planned because it was, even with the stock not being there for a day and a half and other things, we still did good. We go there, we actually come out ahead. I mean, generally our idea is, hey, let's just break even so we can get our name out there. But it definitely helps that we don't lose money. That's always good. Now, the thing is, hell or high water, in November when I go to Fallen, I'm playing a chariot race. I missed it this time again. Mainly, I didn't even see it this time. They were there, but maybe it wasn't during the time. Last time in Fallen, they played them at just right after the dealers closed, and they were just going to play at 7 o'clock, and I hadn't eaten all day, and I'm like, I'll just try to get in it later. But I want to hell or high water. I mean, I picked up Circus Maximus for a pretty good song. It's in nice mint condition, quite honestly, and I really want to play it. Now, the funny thing is, Renegade Legion that I just talked to you about earlier has Circus Imperium, which is their version of Circus Maximus, which I think use quite close to the same rules. So part of me wants to pick that up because that was my first chariot race, actually, Circus Imperium. So, and now that I'm collecting all of the Interceptor Centurion games, I'm probably going to end up getting that. And I'll compare the two and see which one I end up keeping. Maybe I'll keep both. I don't know. But anyway, guys, that's the video, and I'll see you guys hopefully at Gen Con. But other than that, I'll see you next video.